Here are 5 things you need to know about new construction here in Texas. It could be San Antonio, Houston, Dallas. These 5 things are gonna really help you through the process. My name is Trey. I'm with the Calvert Group, brokered by Real. So the 5th one I'm gonna tell you is actually a hack. It's gonna save you the most money. So that's gonna be towards the end of the video. But let's start with the first one you should watch out for. It's the incentives. When a builder says in the showroom, hey, I got some incentives to give you. If you use our lender, then we can give you, sometimes it's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 towards your loan fees. So what does that mean? Why is it that only the one lender you can use these incentives with? It's usually because the builder has some kind of relationship with the lender. So they're gonna give you some incentives so you don't have to shop around. But you still can. You can still shop around for different lenders just to compare apples to apples. Because if you're going with a conventional loan or a VA loan, it's gonna be very, very similar in the loan fees, and you really need to compare what the builder is gonna offer you in their financing, or if you go to a traditional bank or a mortgage broker, to make sure that those incentives are gonna be applied. And that's probably the most important one, because it really comes down to is how much you're gonna pay for that house on that fixed note for the certain amount of time. So the second thing you need to know about building a home in Texas is that there's short inventory. There's almost no new builds going on, and if there are, they're very slim pickings. So what changes have happened with these new builds that you need to know about new construction? Well, some new builders are having what's called a wait list. So you go into the showroom, you see the nice pretty model home, and you say, oh wow, this is so beautiful, look at the countertops. And pretty much everything in there, you have to know whether it's upgrade or if it comes standard. But anyway, that's beside the point. And some builders are gonna have what's called a lottery system. That lottery system is, hey, 10 families want to be in this house, in this subdivision, you're gonna have to put your name in a hat. Or they may even create bidding wars. So in your traditional resale markets anywhere in Texas, you're gonna have bidding wars for the most part because of the shortage of inventory, and much more I'll get into in a different video, but you're gonna have shortage of inventory, so that means there's gonna be bidding wars. So now builders are getting into that bidding war, and they may put a house on the market, give it a week, just to see how many families will overbid, just like the resale market in that new build community. So that's definitely something you should watch out for, and speak to your local agent about how you can overcome these obstacles, especially with those bidding wars. You want to try to avoid these bidding wars. That's half the reason people go into new builds. So the third thing you need to know about new builds in Texas is the contracts. The contracts are the meat and potatoes of these, and we're seeing a lot of changes here recently in the Texas areas. So I'm down near San Antonio, so anywhere from San Antonio to Austin, we're seeing a lot of one-sided contractor agreements. What does that mean? So in new builds, you have the builder who usually creates all the contracts. All the contracts are very one-sided. That means that their team of attorneys are gonna write up these contracts to protect themselves. And if you want to use your own forms, you can. So it's either you use their forms or you just don't get the house. I know, it's pretty messed up. So how do we overcome that? Is have representation with you. This way they can go over line by line or section by section exactly what you're signing. And what we're seeing now is builders are trying to get out of contracts. They've agreed on a price 6 months ago, and now there's more equity in the house. There's lumber's costing more, and there's so many ands in a new build and how much it's increasing in cost. So now the builder wants to get you out of the contract, and they want to put it back on the market so they can get a quick sale, especially since the house has already been improved. It's already had sheetrock, it's already had paint. So now the builder can make more money. So those builder contracts are going to be something you really need to know, because if you don't know the process and if you don't know those contracts, you don't know how to get out of it, or potentially if you can, and how to stay in it, because you want to make sure that these conditions have been met throughout this contract. If there's a certain deadline of days of financing to get your inspections in, that is something that's going to be in the agreement, and you have to have your agreements in your incentives, see the first step, into the contracts. So in the builder contracts, there's something called an escalation clause. What is that? So an escalation clause that we're seeing recently is a builder's gonna say, well, the price of lumber is going up, the price of copper, the price of sheetrock, the price of freaking dust in the house is gonna go up. Well, now there's what they call an escalation clause. That means that if prices go up a certain amount, so does your home price. So you wanna make sure you're aware if there's an escalation clause, and if so, how much more can your house go up in cost? Not value, in cost. So the fourth thing that you need to know is, what if you're shopping for a new home and they tell you, hey, we have this house that's being built, but they're not giving you a price. What we're seeing is builders are holding off on what the price is just to keep your interest in it. And what they're doing is they're riding the appreciation wave. Because we're seeing such an increase in home prices, the builder is gonna lock you into this agreement pending, let's say, the price of lumber or the price of this or the price of roof shingles. So they're pending this price. Honestly, I think, my personal opinion, they're waiting for things to go up in value so then they can charge you more money to recoup the costs that they've already incurred. So if they locked in the price early, then you won't have so much of a cost for you as the consumer, but the builder is paying for its materials as the house is being built. So it behooves them, behoove, a cool word, to wait until that house appreciates. They're gonna give you the price later in the process once the house is at least at framing stage, so they know how much their profit margins are. So the fifth thing that you need to know is, how do we beat the system of these builders? How do we get the most bang for our buck for a home? These are homes for our families. So the fifth one I'm gonna tell you is lock in your price as soon as you can. For the reason number 4 is, the sooner you lock it in, if they're able to tell you, hey, this house is gonna be this amount, there's 2 things that happen. You're gonna lock in your price and you've already agreed on that. So if, let's say, the lumber stops again, or if there's even less inventory and there's more of a demand, if somebody comes and says, I'm gonna pay $1 million cash, well, you've already locked in that price. So they can't escalate it unless there's an escalation clause. Make sure you look at that. And that's gonna be the hack, is getting in early. And with those developments that don't have an amenity center, that's even better to get into. Because once you get into a subdivision that has an amenity center, then it's gonna jack up the price a little bit. People are gonna see that there's slides and water parks and pools and cool things that you can do with your families. So that's gonna be part of the showroom, part of the bait to get people into the subdivision to sell them a house. So if you get in before that, now you have a better chance of appreciating, or you riding the appreciation wave. I think I just made that up. To get your home value even higher. So that's gonna be the 5th hack, to make sure that you get in early, get in the subdivision one of the first few phases before everything's built nice and pretty. Also, watch another, I guess, hack number 6. We're gonna throw another one at you for free. Hack number 6 is gonna be, if there's a house in that neighborhood that has gone back on the market. Let's say somebody was planning to build a house, they locked in a price, and oops, something happened where they split up or they lost their job and they couldn't afford the house or couldn't get the financing. Now you can go in and swoop that house before it actually goes on the market. So how do you swoop the house before it actually goes back on market and before you have the bidding war? Is to know the relationships of the sales representatives. So once you know the relationship with the sales representatives, then you can ask them just a weekly basis, like, hey, do you have any inventory? Did anything pop up? Is there anything on your radar that you think can potentially go back on the market? And these are the things that your agent or you should really follow up on to get the very best deal. Hey, thanks for watching. My name is Tre Serrano with the Calvary Group, brokered by Real. If you like what you see, please give me a like and please subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video.